Hi everyone, welcome to my podcast. Today we are going to address when does mental health gets affected, what are the symptoms that need to be addressed, and what do we need to know about mental health. To address these concerns, we have with us Dr. Sandeep Goel, who is our psychiatrist, and he will shed light as to when to take action. So, Dr. Sandeep.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hi, morning. Thanks for coming and, giving us your valuable time. So my opening question to you is, when does a person know that the mental health is affected? What are the signs and symptoms that they should look into?
See, the mental health is basically, as we know, the definition of health is that it's all good about physical well-being, mental well-being, and spiritual well-being. So we all experience normal emotions, and everything is a normal emotion. But if at all we see that any emotion is taking a toll on our day-to-day functioning, our work, my own, mental capacities, it is causing some dysfunction in my day-to-day activities. That is a time we must identify it, acknowledge it, and then discuss with the relevant person to know about that whether it is going for any psychological issue or mental health issue.
So tell me, how does one differentiate from being sad to being depressed? Why should I go and take your consult?
Psychiatry, as we know, it's all normal emotion.
Right.
Being sad, being anxious, being angry, being, crying, it's all normal, and losing hope. But God has been kind enough to give the power of resilience to everybody.
Right.
So once the psychiatry that way is very simple. If at all the sadness, the lack of interest, the crying persist and being there for 14 days, science has been very clear in that, and it has been causing a significant dysfunction in my day-to-day activities and thought process, that is a time that my sadness is now turned into depression. So scientific guideline is for 14 days of persistent pervasive. Normally, if at all I'm sad because of some reason, usually some friends come up and the mood lightens up, so it become better. But if it has been persistently sad, हर समय हर जगह मेरा मन उदास है, that is a time that we must think that it could be a depression setting in rather than mere sadness.
So would you include grief in this? Because when you have lost a loved one, then you're very sad. Right, but that takes a little long.
Yeah. Ma'am, that is what it excludes the grief, it excludes the substance use. So it should not be because of any substance use, it should not be under the influence of grief. Because these are all normal emotions, and that, yes, can last longer than 2 weeks.
So now there are two other conditions which affect the younger generation and as well as the older generation right now. So one is anxiety.
Yeah.
So people say, oh, I'm stressed, I'm bored, I'm anxious. Now, is that a normal? How do you differentiate between medical?
See, psychiatry that way is very clear. Any dysfunction. See, anxiety, we all get anxious before 10th class, before 12th class.
Right.
Before big interviews.
Yes.
And big exam. We all tend to become anxious. But that anxiety lasts shorter. And it goes by itself or by some methods like deep breathing or box breathing. But if the anxiety is again persistent, pervasive, and despite your best efforts, you're not able to control it, and it is not going away, that is the time, I think. And again, it is causing some dysfunction. Psychiatry starts with dysfunction.
Right.
Any psychological issue which causes dysfunction in a life, that should be taken as a mental health disorder.
So what about aggression? Say, for example, you have children. Okay, I mean, they may be just aggressive because they've not been taught better. How do you differentiate between a psychological disorder where aggression could be there, like, autism, etc., or, like it could just be bad behavior?
See, it could be bad behavior, but again, the bad behavior has to be managed by different tools in children. So it could be DMDD. It's a disruptive dysregulation of mood disorder.
Right.
That is also can be there. So because if it's a persistence, It is that undue aggression and the verbal and physical, which is are not matching with the level of discomfort. See, being aggressive by child is also okay, but if the aggression level is very high, he broken up the mobile, he broken up the some television.
But we
on a
see a
very
lot of those,
so that need to be taken care, ma'am. That is what is called being called. It's a disorder.
Right.
It's a disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. That there is a disorder of mood dysregulation. Child is not able to regulate his mood. For that, there is a medications available. But in children, we prefer more of a therapy.
Right. So this is the next question then. Should somebody go in for therapy or should they come in for a consult with the psychiatrist and medication? So how do you differentiate and how do you make a decision?
See, it's a matter of dysfunction. Again, it's a matter of that whether it is how severe the dysfunction is, how severe the thought process has been affected, and how severe is the violence, aggression for that matter. For example, if at all it's a very, child is getting cranky, child is getting irritable, not listening, then I think it can be managed by simple behavior therapy. But if at all child has been very aggressive, abusive, and this frequency is very high, then I think we need to settle up with the medication. And then with the talk therapy. Similarly for depression, if it is only sad mood, some lack of interest, and not feeling like to go, and there are some interpersonal issues going on, then again we can try the therapy. But if it is to the level that I am crying all time, I feel like ending my life, I feel like, life is not worth living, that level of low mood is going, then I think we must meet a mental health professional.
So you meet a lot of people, they can be very happy at one moment and very sad the other moment. And then, the family members say, oh, ye to sad time hai, ye to happy time hai. Then what is that and when should we again take action?
See, again, yes. Again, it is in psychiatry, it has been called as cyclothymia. Yes. Thymia is a Greek word meaning the mood.
Right.
The thymus come from origin from thymus meaning the mood. It's a cycling of the mood.
Right.
So again, it's an emotional dysregulation disorder, establishes in the early adolescence. But if we don't treat it, it can become a serious psychiatric illness. And if not psychiatric illness, it will lead to the serious humanistic behavior issue, interpersonal issues.
Right.
Between the husband, wife, between the son and the father, mother. So it lead to total chaos in the family because family cannot predict the other person's behavior.
Right.
The mood can swing and that will be a trouble.
Right.
So again, cyclothymia need to be managed by the counseling and therapy, but it again need a complete assessment and then the intervention based on the the need, the severity, right, and the dysfunction.
Right.
Also, sorry to add one point.
No, please.
That you asked about whom to meet, psychiatrist or psychologist. I would say let us meet anybody.
Right.
It could be psychiatric social worker, it could be the psychologist, it could be psychiatrist, because they are the best judge that whom to refer, whom to take care of this gentleman or the person. But we should not hesitate to meet. Some people have hesitancy about the myths about psychiatric medication and things like that. So I would request, please consult anybody you feel like comfortable. It could be your teacher, it could be your guru, it could be your some priest, because they have all experienced people. So sometimes they'll guide you the right path.
Right. And also in your vast experience, I know you've been working for 25 years and above. So what kind of disorders are you seeing most frequently in your practice? I can understand if you give it to me age-wise.
See, it depends basically. In children, it is the issues of the attention and again the conduct issues, the aggression issues, and autism is picking up. But in the adults, usually it is ranges from the depression, anxiety, then severe psychiatric illnesses like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. But currently the interpersonal issues are being on high. So there are recently there is a the manifestations of the personality disorders and personality traits which are causing serious interpersonal issues are also coming up to consult the mental health professionals.
Right. So what is this that a lot of these youngsters, they talk about, oh, I have social anxiety. What does that mean?
See, as we know, psychiatry is a biopsychosocial illness. So there is a biological underpinnings to it. There could be some psychological bad experiences, some social extremities. So that could lead to the person to learn the behavior that whenever I go to stage, I may experience this. Whenever I go to crowd or in a crowded place, that I might experience some anxiety. So it's a mixture of all the biological, psychological, and the social, previous experiences which led to the current issues.
So what would be your advice, a generic advice? I understand you can't give your prescription here, but a generic advice to address the psychological issues that are now prevailing in today's generation. The Gen Zs, the millennials, even the older people, even the much older people, all of them have their own issues. What is the general things or advice you would give them, not to, so that they don't go into that?
First is the maintain the daily schedule for exercise, because healthy mind live in healthy body. That dictum still last. Exercise, some breathing exercise, our own indigenous methods of pranayam, om chanting, sun salute. They have ingrained abilities to supply the good chemicals to the brain, oxygen to the brain. Today there is an article in Times of India, you must have read, that even with the deep breathing, there is a research happened in AIIMS. Sickle cell anemia person can become normal.
How wonderful.
So if a sickle cell anemia person become normal and the brain functioning and all the cardiac activities become normal, so what a normal man can achieve? Sickle cell, we all know the hemoglobin is shrunken and less supply and many complications. So research has proven that deep breathing can do wonders for them. So not to offload our job, but just to tell that the common advice is that please do practice exercise.
Right.
In Western world, in Japan, in Singapore, we all take big messages from them. High tech they are, how technical, intelligent they are. But the basic is that they do exercise daily 1 hour per day. Whatsoever busy schedule they are, they run. Trust me, they run more busy schedule than us. We Indians are already very hardworking, but they work harder than us. But they make sure that 1 hour is for exercise. So they consider the day is only 23 hours.
Right.
So if not that 23 hours, let us spend half an hour and be away from psychiatrist and mental health professional. We don't want you to come to us. We just want you to be happy family, happy man, and happy nation. But any trouble, we are all here to help you. But ultimately, our aim is to use the resilience and power within you. And the easy, free way is exercise and breathing patterns.
How does diet help in this?
Yeah, diet will obviously help, because ultimately all the raw materials of the brain chemicals come from diet.
Right.
So healthy diet and less sugary diet, that's all been recommended for controlling the anxiety and the attention issues. But I would say that the research has proven there is no diet as such. The research has proven that we can't recommend any diet.
Right.
Because many of things like banana, curd, almonds, walnut, they have been all the raw materials which is required for synthesis of the brain chemicals, which are allegedly responsible for all the psychiatric illnesses. But yes, there are evidences not there that how can they affect the brain. But simple logic can say that if at all you have the raw material, the good production of the right chemical will be there.
Right. So this is very interesting, like if you just exercise every day for a given amount of time on a regular basis, your mental health issues will not seem as severe as, and we can literally stay away from you.
Yeah, definitely. See, serious mental disorders and serious
then you can't
common disorders, we are all here to help. But see, we are a huge country and a huge population.
Right.
So, and the youngsters, they must offload their screen time at least, minimize the screen time and utilize that, so that, there are less issues and we evolve as a healthy nation, both physically and mentally.
So, you must be very excited with the latest government push towards mental health.
Yeah, definitely.
Betterment. So, as a psychiatrist and been working for so long, you must be very upbeat about the quality of mental health that will be available.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very, very much thankful to the government and the visionaries of the Indian government who have been very kind to identify this issue. And I know we are a huge country and traveling is not that easy. We are very, very deep beyond our imagination because I traveled across country for many years. So I know it's very, very deep, and from that deep coming to a psychiatrist, which is a very easy consultation, which can, because we don't need to examine, it's only the facial expression and some talks. So telemanas, government has invested in telemanas. Nimans has been the pioneer to start that. So telemanas is a tele consultation available to all the people of the country.
Right.
So that's a wonderful, approach, because at least down the very deep village, we have a penetration to a good mental health advice.
Right. And I do think because of the, like that's my opinion, because of the modern world and the availability of social media and all everything digital, and it's available right down to our, villages. And I think these youngsters, when they see all these kind of things, as well as they do undergo whatever anxiety, depression and all. So to have that kind of program is just amazing.
Yes, that's very good positive move from Government of India.
The next question is, when you are stressed out, obviously your hormones are haywire.
Yeah, cortisol are as high, which is a flight and fright hormone.
Right. And does that in any way lead to weight gain, etc.?
Yeah, definitely. See, cortisol will put the body to reserve mode.
Right.
And whatever I eat, it'll put me to fat. And I'll get a sugar craving because it has to get energy to fight and fright.
Right.
Because brain doesn't know what is the stress.
Right.
Stress is physical or real, or it is all imagined. But all the hormones which are needed to fight back or run away, they will focus the energy channelizing to craving of more sugar. And the cortisol itself will do many, deterioration in the body.
So besides, if someone wants to be, healthy, then one definitely needs to be stress-free and your mental health has to be good.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good sleep and the regular regime of exercise, I think, is the key mantra to be away from mental health professionals. But I would request that if at all you feel anything which is troubling your emotions and mental clarity, please do not hesitate. Please do not hesitate. Trust us. Most of psychiatric illnesses and psychological issues, they are transient and they will be managed by this simple medication for a very short time. Yeah, short time in psychiatry is 6 months to 9 months to 1 year, but in 100 years of life, 1 year is hardly anything. But that will ensure a complete fulfillment of the living life with whole quality.
Right. That's a wonderful message.
Yeah. That's what psychiatry is all about, the quality of life.
But I'm not going to let you go because we do have some rapid fire questions. So I'm going to take out my little slip so that I can ask you those.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So in our rapid fire question round, we have 5 questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Meditation or therapy for stress management?
I would say it's both. Meditation is a process which can be practiced at home. We can say meditation will be some qualified technical term, I would say. So we say the simple breathing technique like pranayam, anulom vilom pranayam, some deep breathing, box breathing. They will also do the suffice of the work. Therapy, if at all, yes, there are issues of which needs to be addressed and there is a guidance which needs to be put by a mental health professional. Yes, therapy will be there.
Okay. Overthinking, normal or unhealthy?
See, too much of everything is bad. Overthinking about some issue, taking a cautious decision is needed. But if at all it is taking a toll on your time, causing a dysfunction in the progress of life, that I think is and wasting your time. So that I would say it will be dysfunction. It need to be treated.
Sleep and mental health, connected or not?
No, they are connected, very much connected. Nothing can happen without a good sleep.
And good sleep in your definition is?
A sound sleep of minimum 6 hours. And it can be, nothing is a guideline. 6 to 8 hours is the usual sleep time. But people, they can need 10 hours of sleep. There are people who may sleep 5 hours. So it's all one's own body. But as per science, we must sleep at least 6 to 8 hours per day.
Right. So social media and mental health, overrated or actually?
It is actually, see, we got so much influence. The Times of India is full of today's article of that mental health and how this has been affected by the mobile and social media. Because they talk about immediate gain, immediate gush. So the attention rate is falling. In children's, their attention span is being deteriorated from say about 20 minutes to say 20 seconds. Nobody wants to see a complete reel. They would just want to see कि ठीक है नहीं है चलो 10 सेकंड में ही गायब. So that is another example. So too much indulgence into it, I would say it is very detrimental to the mental health, and it is proven. Today article talk about all the brain areas which got affected. Hippocampus, which is a area of brain memory formation, that has been seriously affected by watching the mobile.
Actually, I was reading something and just recently, just today itself, not the Times of India thing, but another one, in which they say because of the social media and because of the gaming community, too much online and on the video, these children are not growing up. You know, when they're in their 20s, like even if they're 25, they're still like an adolescent. Like they're like 13, 14, 15. The mental growth is not happening because I think the lights or whatever is actually shrinking your brain in a way.
Yeah, that's what research has shown. There it is shrinking the hippocampus,
Yes.
which is the memory formation area.
Right.
So, but how much it has been affected? But I think let's take a disciplined action onto it. And we are the parents, we are the guardians, so we must ensure that it is being practiced and the digital, away time has to be there.
So I have another question. How will you identify that a person has a mental disorder and not a genetic problem or a developmental problem? Because you could have various degrees of developmental disorders and the IQs are just marginally affected, but because of the disorder, it doesn't really get better. So how will you differentiate between these two?
See, psychiatric illnesses per se, they usually start later, say around adolescence, late adolescence.
Right.
So if at all it's a genetic developmental disorder, it will be there from very beginning. But see, psychiatric illnesses, they are polygenic inheritance. They are multigenic inheritance. Multigenic, multifactorial etiology. It could be infectious, it could be developmental, it could be, the cytokines, inflammatory, it could be some neurological damage. So in psychiatry, the etiology is not one. It is multifactorial.
I see.
So combination of genetic, genes, infections, developmental issues, traumas, addictions, some cannabis comes in. So we can't pinpoint, but I think what we can prevent, at least that we must do.
Right. So ultimately, one gets from this entire episode tells me that mental health is present, mental health issues are present. B, there's nothing to worry about too much. We are there to help you. And you can help yourself by doing some exercise, practicing some relaxation techniques, etc. And ultimately, it is okay to have normal feelings. But if it goes beyond, let's say, 14 days, and it's intense at all times, then that is the time to take help.
Yeah. Anything which is causing dysfunction, I would say.
Right.
So it is good to be experiencing all emotion, but if it is anything causing dysfunction and you feel that it is causing a trouble, then I think that's a time we should not feel stigmatized to take a mental health services.
So thank you, Dr. Goel. It was really wonderful talking to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.